Balance is an extremely important part of mixing. In fact, that's what mixing is. It's about getting things to sit right in the mix. It's about being able to hear everything. So today I wanted to talk about using pink noise to balance your mix. It's actually proved to be a really useful tool. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how it works, why it works, and then how you can do it yourself. Stick around, here it comes. Okay, so firstly, what is pink noise? Now, essentially, it's very similar to white noise. Now, essentially what that is it's a broadband sound which is audible across all frequencies. Now, the difference between white and pink noise is with white noise, the sound is distributed evenly across all of the frequencies, whereas with pink noise, the energy or the level of the frequencies essentially drops off as you go into the higher register. Specifically, I believe it drops off at 3 dB per octave. Now, I know that is extremely boring, so why am I telling you this? Is it even relevant? Now, it is relevant because pink noise is useful because it is basically considered to be similar to how humans perceive sound. So humans don't hear sound in a linear fashion. They hear it in a logarithmic way. So essentially, we don't hear all frequencies at the same level as each other. This is partly due to how humans are geared towards listening to speech more so than other frequencies, because that's going to be one of the most important ones that you're going to hear. So with pink noise being very similar to human hearing, it means that you can use it as a reference to balance your mixes. So theoretically, if you reference the individual parts of your mix to pink noise and you can hear everything when you're doing that, then when you take the pink noise off and you're just listening to the mix with, your ears, your mix will be balanced in such a way that you're going to be able to hear everything beautifully. So let's get into it. Let's try it with a mix that I've just started, and we're going to see it in action. I'm going to show you how to set it up, and then you can try it out for yourself. Let's move on to the next bit. Now, the first thing to do is to get everything set up in your session ready to go. So in this particular case, I'm going to be using it at the start of a mix, but you can also use it at the end of a mix, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So what you want to do is firstly get everything rooted in your mix like you would usually do. For example, if you've got a bunch of drums, it can be handy to get your different kick channels into a kick group, get your different snare channels into a snare group, and get the general balance between those mics. So if you've got multiple kick mics, make sure you've got the in and out set how you'd like it. And also just get your general housekeeping set up and ready. Like, again, if we're talking about drums, if you need to check the phase or the alignment of everything, then do that first. Also, if you have lots of multiple guitars which are doing loads of different things, you've got tons of leads which are all kind of making up one sound, if you like, then get those balanced together and then put those into a group. If you've got lots of different synths as well, maybe you've got a lead synth, but then you've got loads of other ones which support that, get your balance of those done first and then chuck that in a group, so then you're just controlling the overall sound of that synth or those synths. Now, next is to essentially make everything mono. So what you can do is you can just grab any plugin that does that. I'm using Pro Tools, so I've got one which is a stereo width plugin, for example, and you can just pull it all the way to 0, and then that's going to collapse everything into mono. So any plugin which can do that, chuck that on your master. I'll put some free options down in the description in case you don't have anything in your DAW, although you should do, but if you don't, I'll give you an option down there too. Okay, next is import or load up a pink noise generator. In the description, I have bounced out a WAV, which is just pink noise. So if you just want to import that into your session, then you can do. It's only a short length, so all you need to do is basically import that in and then just copy and paste that to the end of your project. Alternatively, I'm using the signal generator by Hoffa, which is totally free, and you can also try that, and I'll put that also in the description. You can download that if you want to try that. Next up is to essentially calibrate your pink noise. So it's not too loud, it's not blasting your eardrums off, but it gives you a little bit of headroom for your mix. So you could pull up any VU meter. There's a whole bunch of free ones out there. I'm using the Klanghelm one, which is very, very cheap, but there are a bunch of free ones out there too. So just pull one up, have it set to VU, and then you're essentially going to calibrate it to roughly about -18. There are various other meters that you can choose. So just choose one that you're feeling comfortable and gives you a lot of headroom. My Pro Tools meter is usually set to a K14, which is like a -14 dB below 0. That always works as well, but I'm showing you this just so you've got a bit of a visual reference. Then you're going to play your pink noise, and you can have it peak a little bit below 0. So usually I get it to about 0 and then pull it down to somewhere between 3 and 5 just to give you a little bit more headroom, because remember, we can always do this later on. So this is just to get you going, get you into the right place. So I'll show you that visually, but I'm going to turn the actual volume of it off just so it doesn't blow your eardrums off. Okay, happy with that. Now, this next part is where you get all the work done. Now, the idea is you'll solo every individual instrument one at a time and start from it at minus infinity. So the fader is all the way down. And then you bring it up slowly with the pink noise running. And basically, just when you hear that element pop out, just when it's audible and you're recognizing that sound, that is a level you will sit it at. And then you move on to the next one. Now, it's usually best to start off with your main elements and especially stuff which are going to be the loudest. So, for example, kick, snare, how most people would do a mix, really. Kick, snare, bass, guitars, synths, whatever, that sort of order, going up to some of the stuff which is in the higher frequency levels. And also ending with some of the least important parts of your mix. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to start by showing you a kick and a snare, and then we'll forward to the result because you don't need to sit here listening to that awful sound. So quick warning here, watch the level of your speakers or headphones, whatever you're listening to this on, because I'm about to bring in the pink noise and it doesn't sound very nice at all. It's really not a very nice sound, but you need to hear it in action first just so you get the idea of what's happening. Here it comes. Now I'm going to bring in a kick drum. So now you get a bit of an idea of where I'm going with it. I'm going to do that for the rest of the track, and then we'll hear some of the results. Okay, so let's have a quick listen to how that went. I've taken off the mono maker on my master because it'd be good to hear it in stereo, but we're just going to have a little listen and see what that sounds like. Now, to me, that sounds pretty balanced. Everything is pretty much in the right place, and overall, it's a really, really good start. Which brings me to the next question. If you're finding this video useful, please do me a favor and hit the old like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out, so thank you very much for everyone who is doing so already. Also, if you sign up to the mailing list, I will send you a bunch of free stuff. It will be an EQ cheat sheet, as well as some drum shots that you can use in your mixes. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. And that question is, should you use this at the start or the end of your mix? And the answer is actually both. It can be really useful in both points. If you use it at the beginning, then it gives you a bit of an idea of where the different instruments, where different elements should sit. So you can use that as a guide, especially when you've got loads and loads of things going on. It's a really good way to balance things very, very quickly. But you can use that towards the end of your mix as well. I found it really useful once I'd basically done my mix and I was feeling very happy with it. Everything felt really good. I was hearing everything where I felt like they should be. Then I repeated this process and essentially pulled down all my groups and zeroed everything out, and then put on the pink noise and did the process again. And it really helped to show me if things were actually in the right place. I actually found it was quite handy because I'd been mixing all day at this point. My ears were starting to get a little bit fluffy, and this was really useful just to get everything back on track and essentially show me where some of the errors were. So yeah, I'd highly recommend giving this a go and just see for yourself how actually useful it can really be. It's definitely a cool tool, and it's one to keep in your arsenal for checking mixes or starting mixes, especially when you need to do it quickly. Right, that is it for today. Thank you very much for listening and watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. If you've got any questions, hit me up below and I'll try my best to answer them. But until next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now. Stay creative.